show, ladies and gentlemen. This is the CEC Countdown, your home for all the action leading up to the ESPN Collegiate Esports Championship. Do you like that? Like the action? I'm fluid. I'm your host and walking, talking Nordstrom Rack, Alex Corea. And joining me once again is the wonderful Gabie Black Crystal Jackman. How was your week, BK? Let's dive into it. What's it been like here?
It was good. Houston is nice. The weather is nice, but the people are a little too nice.
Listen, I don't want to agree with that because I love the people here, but I did have an Uber driver try to talk to me. Oh no! Which was scary. I don't know what to say.
But I will say, though, the food is quality. I can't wait to grub after this.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, yeah. But first, let's dive into it. There was a lot of CEC action last weekend, and now we know all of the teams that will be competing here in the finals in Houston in just 2 weeks. There's more to come on that in a minute, but first, we have to remind all the viewers out there that we want to hear from you, fam. We'll be responding to the tweets towards the end of the show, so use the hashtag CEC Countdown to be a part of the conversation.
You can send us your questions, your comments, heart poems, even predictions for the Collegiate Esports Championship happening soon. I predict there'll be a handsome guy there with a skinny tie.
I mean, Billy Zane is supposed to be at Comicpalooza.
See, you meant that as a dig at me, but I will say that he was in Titanic and Tombstone and a third movie.
I have a child!
And I think I look good bald, so I'm going to take that as a compliment. Let's go ahead and kick the evening off with Starcraft 2, as we should, as 8 teams fought it out over the weekend to see who would make it to the semifinals and earn their spot in the Collegiate Esports Championship. Some of these teams, these top teams, continued cruising to victory. Let's go through it. UC Berkeley took a 3-0 win over Toronto B. UC San Diego beat Toronto A 3-1, and Waterloo A defeated Texas 3-1. But we did have a bit of an upset in the last matchup as the University of Chicago crushed Waterloo B. Big surprise.
Chicago and Waterloo B are without a doubt 2 very strong teams that have put up impressive wins throughout the entire season. Waterloo B has what looks like a stronger lineup on paper, and they were near the top of the standings all year, but Chicago handed them one of their only losses this season. This was the setup for a great quarterfinal match. 2 powerhouse teams who know each other oh so well, with a ticket to Houston on the line, man.
Very exciting. In round 1, neither team decided to use their ace player as they squared up for a Terran versus Terran matchup between Waterloo's Seraph and Chicago's Teletubby, which, man, if I haven't seen a threatening name, there it is. TVT is a super volatile matchup that can be decided with just one moment. One good hit from a line of siege tanks or something like that can decimate an army and win the game outright. Both players followed similar openings in the first few minutes of the match, but Seraph eventually went for an economic strategy while Teletubby went for something more tech. Normally, the player going for tech is the one that needs to attack in order to make up for the economic difference, but it was Seraph that went for the first attack. Interesting!
Now, Teletubby needed to hold the attacks off long enough to finish his tech, buying him enough time to spawn stronger units, which could possibly swing the game in his favor. Seraph was not going to let that happen, though, so he pushed with everything he had. But Teletubby was able to hold out long enough for his interference matrix upgrade, which rendered Seraph's Ravens practically useless. Teletubby counterattacked using 2 medevacs full of Marines and destroyed one of Seraph's bases, putting him far in the lead. He pressed the attack with his advantage and eventually forced Seraph to concede. This was a close match in terms of style, build order, and mechanics, but it really was Teletubby's excellent counterattack that sealed the win for Chicago.
Both teams opted to use their strongest players for round 2, those aces I was talking about before. Chicago's Omega Banana on Protoss was favored, in fact, but Waterloo's Kudrilisk is known for using unique strategies on Zerg, so Omega had to be prepared for almost anything thrown at him. The game started pretty normal, with Omega Banana starting the action at around the 5-minute mark with a Dark Templar warp-in. Kudrilisk was prepared with detection, but couldn't react in time to stop the huge damage output from Omega Banana's Templars. Before he was able to deal with the attack, Omega had already destroyed the base, which put him at a huge economic advantage. With his attack massively successful, Omega just kind of sat back and enjoyed and maintained his lead. Kudrilisk tried his best to get back in the game, but Omega held steady with his impeccable game and just carried the lead throughout the next few minutes. He eventually ended it with an attack to the front with a superior army, extending Chicago's lead 2-0.
Ooh, now, going into round 3, Waterloo needed a win to stay in the tournament. On paper, their Zerg player So had a higher ranking and was expected to win. He had to take out Chicago's Pancakes on Protoss. So is a strong Zerg, but he's shown some inconsistency as the season went on. Some weeks his decision making can be described as questionable, while other weeks he's absolutely killing it. Needless to say, Waterloo's fans were hoping for the latter. In the end, he decided to put it all on the line with a very sneaky early surprise attack.
We got we got Pancake. These games are making me hungry. Why has everyone got food names? Pancakes started the game quite the opposite, though, by very safely building 2 Zealots. He then spent the Zealots to do a little bit of scouting over at So's base, and lo and behold, discovered the surprise that his opponent was planning. He did a little recon. He then recalled his Zealots and focused his attention building defenses to deal with that surprise attack. So was in huge trouble, honestly, because he no longer had that element of surprise, and the moment that Pancakes opened with a 2 Zealot scout, the game was practically over. But executed the attack anyway in a last-ditch effort, because what else are you going to do with those units? Pancake was totally ready, of course, so the attack fell completely flat. So had nothing left, so Pancake was able to clean up the match and finish off a massive 3-0 upset for Chicago.
Wow, for a while, Chicago looked out of the running as they endured a few upset losses toward the end of the regular season. But they've really picked it up in the playoffs and managed to secure their ticket to Houston. Without a doubt, this team has earned their spot in the CEC. So here's our StarCraft 2 bracket for the main event. We have an intrastate battle as UC Berkeley takes on UC San Diego, and in the other match, Chicago takes on Waterloo A. We'll be diving into those matchups next week, so be sure to tune in.
Very exciting matchups, and I learned something. Do you know if it's between 2 states, it's interstate, and if it's in 1 state, it's intrastate?
Ooh.
I now know one more word, which is more, that brings me up to 21.
This guy.
As we head into the break, we wanted to spotlight some of the gear being used by competitive players all across the world. This week, we have the Logitech G635 headset and the Logitech Pro Wireless Gaming Mouse. Let's check it out.
Ooh.
The Pro Wireless Gaming Mouse is built to the exacting standards of some of the world's top esports professionals. Pro Wireless Gaming Mouse is built for extreme performance and includes the latest and most advanced technologies available. Featuring Lightspeed technology, Pro Wireless overcomes the limitations of latency and is also equipped with the latest version of the Hero sensor, the highest performing and most efficient gaming sensor. The Logitech G635 is a premium gaming headset with large 50mm Pro G drivers. LightSync RGB lighting is fully customizable and reacts to in-game action. For maximum immersion, TTS Headphone X 2.0 surround sound creates precise in-game positional awareness. Hear enemies sneaking up behind you and enjoy the full cinematic experience of your favorite games.
Because the countdown is here. More specifically, me and BK. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the CEC Countdown. Now, there's no doubt that Overwatch will draw an enormous crowd at the CEC, and this week, we want to preview what's shaping up to be one of the hottest quarterfinal matches of the entire tournament. It's a battle of brawn and a battle between old and new. Maryville and Carleton will duke it out at the CEC in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a can't-miss match. So let's go ahead and dive in. Carleton has competed in TESPA for a long time now and has a long history of success, while Maryville, as you saw last week, is one of the newest teams in the tournament. tournament, and yet they've taken the Collegiate Overwatch competitive scene by absolute storm. These are two excellent squads that know exactly how to play together as a unit, so let's break it down.
Now, Carleton has been phenomenal so far this season, and this is one of the best teams they've ever had. They've been blowing out the competition, throwing out 3-0 sweeps left and right. Where they really shined, though, was when they eliminated Ohio State University in the round of 16, 3-1. Carleton had a bit of a rough start on Lijiang Tower, where OSU was able to come out strong, but they turned it around once they found their synergy.
Love that word, synergy. What does it mean? Nobody knows, except businessmen. What's exciting about the match against Ohio State was not only did Carleton knock out a Power 5 favorite, but they also pulled some really interesting quadruple DPS compositions. Let's dive in. Most of them involved Kachow, the main tank player for Carleton, on Wrecking Ball and Kip on Mercy to add some mobile healing to the composition. The 4 DPS were filled by the other flexible players on the team using Hanzo, Sombra, Soldier, Pharah, Widowmaker here and there for some high pick potential to quickly swing fights in their favor.
Now, the Ravens' confidence in the compositions they picked really shows how much prep they've done. They can run any strategy, whether it's quadruple DPS, dive, or of course the powerful 3-tank, 3-support composition. The Ravens always select the appropriate comp to use for any situation, and their ability to adapt and respond to what their enemy is doing is really going to carry them far in the CEC. But this Maryville matchup is going to be tough.
You know what they say? That's so Ravens. Maryville is undoubtedly the favorite to win the CEC. There's no argument against that. They boast a roster with impressive personal accomplishments as well as the largest undefeated record in maps and match series throughout the entire tournament, earning them the #1 seed moving into each different phase of the tournament. That's huge. In the round of 16, we witnessed Maryville's powerhouse strength against UT Dallas. This was one of the fastest match series in the playoffs where Maryville showcased what it means to be one of the strongest teams.
As a team that primarily uses the triple tank, triple support composition, they need to work very well with each other. Overall, their victory over UT Dallas was a solid performance, but it wasn't flawless. They made some mistakes here and there, and a stronger team could punish them for it. In team fights, Maryville's main tank, Hypnot, would be overly aggressive and get killed. Most of the players on the Maryville roster have experience in the semi-pro scene, so any of the mistakes they made in the team fight were rectified by their ability to secure picks. To put it simply, they just overpowered their opponents.
Yeah, it's honestly really incredible that the players on the Maryville team can juggle attending classes, playing for Maryville, also playing for teams in the Overwatch Contenders, and playing in the Open Division, as well as just being beasts all around. It's really inspiring. Rat is a DPS player for Phase 2. Guru is a flex player for Bermuda. Aether is on Triumph Gaming. Hypnot was on Uprising Academy. And Axel was on Uprising Academy and is now on the NA Open Division team Tea Party. They all have experience playing at a super high level, which is like really inspiring.
Oh yeah, no, that's so cool. And we got the experience of visiting Maryville last week to check out their amazing esports program. This week, we'd like to bring back Ken on a call for some final questions and comments about the team.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Hey Ken, good to finally meet you. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Lovely.
Ooh, I'm a sucker for a man with an accent.
Ooh.
And college degree. Man, you're a catch.
All right, let's get right into it. Game day is approaching, and I want to know the strats. Are you going to whip out some DPS? Because I need it, man.
Don't think I'm at the liberty to say anything about that.
Okay, I get it. You can't give out the trade secrets. Fine.
This is why I usually do these things in person, so I can lock the door until they tell me the info I need. I'm watching you.
All right, let's go on to another one. What type of research or prep are you guys doing to prepare for your match against Carleton?
So, in my opinion at least, Overwatch meta sort of trickles down from out. And for us, since we can't really get our scrims, but we get contender scrims. And that sort of gives us an insight on how teams are executing the current meta. And going from there, we also do report reviews on our scrims. And so individually, players themselves, they do report reviews together to sort of like look at how individually they can improve mechanically, and just sort of talking about strat and macro plays as well.
All right, y'all got the hookup with those contender scrims. That just might be the pro strat right there.
Well, it's actually not a pro strat because contenders technically isn't. But next question.
True. Okay. All right, so tell me, what's the team's attitude like? Are you guys still expecting to dominate the competition?
Potentially, probably, not sure, but yeah.
Okay, way to flex. All right.
It would have been really weird if he was like, no. So I appreciate that. You're very confident. It's good.
All right, and lastly, we saw last week that President Lombardi is very focused on the growth of Maryville program. And with that comes some pretty high expectations. Are you guys starting to feel the pressure now?
A little bit, but right now our focus is still towards school because finals week is coming up next week. So, but afterwards we'll definitely be able to focus 100% on Overwatch.
Okay, I get the concern with finals week. Academics definitely takes priority.
Devil's advocate, I didn't go to school and I turned out fine. So kids, just fill in random bubbles on that Scantron. You'll be fine.
Debatable. Okay, well, Ken, it's been cool chatting with you. Thanks so much for giving us the inside scoop.
Cheers.
I mean, I know I'm rooting for you guys. I'm not so sure about Alex, though.
I think you guys are a great team. You're just playing against some great Garden State teams. That's all I'm saying. But good
Garbage
luck.
State. Sorry.
Good luck.
Wow, Carleton had an amazing season. I'm not sure if they can compete with this Maryville team that has been dominating the whole season. Now, Carleton has proven that they can do their homework, prepare for a match, and even put up a fight. But Maryville's got to have some tricks in the bag that Carleton can't even prepare for.
Yeah, if Carleton can work on their quad DPS composition and really tighten it up, they may be able to pressure Maryville enough to force them out of their triple tank comfort zone and into something they're less comfortable with. Carleton will need to be more synchronized than they've been throughout the entire season. They really have to tighten it up, but this may be their best chance, especially if they throw in like a Sombra into the mix more frequently to trip up Maryville.
Oh yeah, but even still, Maryville is a well-coordinated 3-3 team that's hard to push off the rails once they get rolling. But they can't go into this match overconfident. They need to do everything they can to play tight, conservative, and let their team cohesion get them the win. If they don't, Carleton could easily capitalize on it.
Yeah, well, hey, if Carleton gets the win, you know what I'm going to do?
What? Stop.
Dance. Okay, that wasn't a good one. Sorry. Last week, we took an up-close look at Maryville's esports program where they recruiting and training a culture of greatness. They're not the only ones looking to dominate in the collegiate esports scene, though. This week, we traveled all the way to the great state of New Jersey, in my home state, to check out Rutgers, a school Maryville might see in the finals. Rutgers is not only in contention to win the entire collegiate Overwatch title, but they're also in the CEC finals with their Heroes of the Storm team. So I'm just going to say they're a force to be reckoned with. And I'm also going to say, watch this. Welcome to New Brunswick, New Jersey, home of one of the oldest higher education institutions in the country, Rutgers University. You're probably more familiar with the Scarlet Knights for boasting competitive D1 sports programs from within a Power 5 conference. They're even nicknamed the birthplace of college football. But now, a new program looks to be on the rise. As a new generation of students makes their way to the state's largest school, their esports club continues to draw more and more attention, now on a national level.
They decided to hold tryouts for an Overwatch team because they heard about the Textbook Collegiate series that was coming out in the fall. So I tried out for the team at the time, and I made it over the summer, and then I played during the summer, and ever since I've been playing up until now.
Before coming to Rutgers, at least for Heroes of the Storm, like I was already playing the game at a really high level. And when I started to play with like actual other pro players in the game and like random ladder games, I was like, wow, there might be a chance I could do something with this.
I decided to join some of the game clubs here at Rutgers, and eventually I got involved with Rutgers Esports. I really fell in love with the community, like the events that we put on, and decided that I wanted to get more and more involved, and eventually I just became president.
As the club and its teams continue to expand, the need for support and leadership grows. The Rutgers Esports Club is a completely student-run and student-funded organization and has absolutely exploded, becoming one of the largest esports club on the East Coast.
It's practically like a 40-hour job, like in itself, if not more. Sometimes, you know, I have to sacrifice things like going to hang out with friends, playing video games, which is the ironic part. The more involved you get into this gaming club, the less you play of video games, just because you don't have the free time.
The way you balance it is you just got to fit it into your routine. It's like being a normal collegiate athlete, I think, but I think a little bit less, intense because you're not like, you don't have to travel and stuff to go to a field to practice.
So I like to call myself team parent. I'm like the soccer mom for the team. If I had a minivan, I'd shuttle them off to practice with a juice box and a pack of cookies, you know. My job is mainly to do everything that the team needs outside the game so that the players and the coach only have to focus on responsibilities pertaining to inside the game.
The Rutgers Esports Club is actually a collection of smaller clubs, each one dedicated to a game title. If you have enough people interested in a game, you can mobilize your group to create a club yourself. But even with support from the esports community and the gaming clubs at Rutgers, there are still some groups that have yet to be brought under the umbrella of the official esports club. In fact, there's one prominent game title, Heroes of the Storm, the official Rutgers Esports Club doesn't field a team for. However, that doesn't mean a team representing Rutgers in the realm of heroes doesn't exist.
So we typically find people who are interested in starting the clubs. That's how I first got involved with Rutgers Esports, is I was interested in starting the MMO club here. But for Heroes of the Storm, we never really had someone who was really dedicated to the cause. There were still people interested in playing competitively, and they ended up signing up for the tournaments, the TESPA tournaments, by themselves.
The Rutgers Esports Club, it's really well known, and they're really competitive at the games they play, but there's no specific HOTS club for Heroes of the Storm. What would help our team is we got more support, more people watching on stream and stuff like that.
In terms of having more support, more is better. If we weren't independent, we had things like coaches and things like that. That would obviously be way better.
With the Rutgers Heroes of the Storm team making it all the way to the Heroes of the Storm finals at the CEC, the need for support, both from the Rutgers Esports Club and the university's esports community in general, keeps growing and growing. Unfortunately, a lack of support is the norm in college esports, as many universities are still trying to ramp up the infrastructure and budget for these budding esports programs. Now, this is just my very humble opinion, but having teams in 2 different game titles make it to the CEC, definitely impressive. Plus, you get the added benefit of having at least 5 people cheering for you as you play. Something that I've never experienced ever. I only have one mom.
Oh, poor Alex. Well, I don't know about you, but I really feel like I'm starting to get to know the players. I can't wait to meet them here in Houston come May when the finals roll around.
It's going to be very exciting. Now, it's not easy taking on a school workload and training for the CEC and just being an all-around baller at the same time. These players have put in a lot of work to get here, and that's why Logitech wanted to highlight some of them as the Golden Mouse Hero of the Week. And before we head to break, we have Rutgers' own Steven Chicken Waffles Bartos as our featured player. So let's take a look, and we'll be right back. Did I get that? Bartos?
Bartos.
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 That sounds like a Simpsons cereal.
He handles basically just being what you'd expect a captain to be for a team. He's the emotional leader. He's sort of the strategist inside the game itself. He's receptive to everyone's ideas when they present one. I think that's a great way to describe how Steven is and why we look at him as a leader on the team.
Yeah, I do think it is sort of therapeutic to play at least twice a week, because I don't get much time to play other than that, maybe on the weekends. But yeah, I really do enjoy playing and scrimming with my teammates, and it's something that I've always found to be really, really fun. I'm looking to work, not really going to esports. It would be cool if I could, but personally I don't think I'm good enough to go into it.
At one point, we were down 2-0, facing elimination and coming in second place. And our competitive director, Jackman, came up to Steven and asked him how it was going. And Steven just gave him a cold, neutral look and said, "Don't worry, we got this." And then the team turned it around and came back 3-2 to win it in pretty convincing fashion.
All right, this just in. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Hey, how's it going? Let's talk some Hearthstone, shall we? Nothing like a good card game to jumpstart some action, right?
Oh, yeah,
High
spicy.
energy, cards. I love Solitaire.
Okay.
I love that one you play with the fish, and I love Hearthstone.
Ooh.
We've narrowed it down from 16 teams to the remaining 4 teams who will be competing live at the CEC, and here's how we got here, okay? Pods of 4 teams played in a 3-round double elimination tournament. Each pod included 1 varsity division team along with 3 from open division, with the top 2 advancing.
The University of Southern California put up an undefeated record on their way to the quarterfinals, including a 3-2 victory over the University of Oregon, which was the varsity division champion. Oregon picked up games 1 and 2 with their Rogue and Warlock decks before USC pulled a reverse sweep with their Druid, Warlock, and Hunter decks. That was Oregon's only loss, so they still advanced to the quarterfinals with a 2-1 record. RIT advanced as the first seed in Pod 2, followed by the University of Minnesota, who won a pod high 8 games on the way to the quarterfinals.
All right, let's go on over to Pod 3. Texas Tech rated first place with their 3-2 win over University Division runner-up Northeastern University. Not ready to go home, Northeastern still finished strong in the 2nd place spot to advance, so they get to go. Meanwhile, in Pod 4, Miami University, Ohio, took first place with 3-2 wins against both Georgia Tech and the University of Florida, which is in Florida and not University of Miami, which is in Ohio. Great. Georgia Tech came in 2nd place in the pod with 3-0 win over Cal Poly and a 3-1 win over the University of Florida. In Florida.
Now, with the pods decided, the remaining teams moved on to the quarterfinals, setting up the final run for the CEC. Here's where we saw some of the best Hearthstone action of the tournament. 3 of the 4 matches went down to the wire, spanning the full 5 games. One matchup had a warrior mirror match that lasted over an hour. It was an excellent quarterfinals with some of the best college teams in the country, but there were only 4 slots available.
One of those teams was the University of Oregon in Oregon, with an incredibly narrow 3-2 win over Miami University, Ohio. This is one of the closest matches in the tournament between 2 very good teams, admittedly. Oregon was the varsity division champion, but Miami finished close behind it in the top 4, so it was really kind of anyone's game. For this match, Miami brought a mid-range hunter, a summoner mage, control warrior, and rogue. Overall, they brought a fairly standard lineup, except for the mage deck, which was a bit greedier and not as fast as a typical list, but still pretty good. Oregon kept it standard with a zoo warlock, mid-range hunter, control warrior, and rogue.
Now, both teams banned the Rogue deck, which was a surprising choice from Oregon, considering the rest of their decks were good matchups against Rogue on paper. This may have been a mistake, because if Oregon had banned Miami's Control Warrior instead, they would have avoided the long, drawn-out mirror match. I mean, Miami wound up winning the mirror and pushing the series to Game 5, where the series would be decided between Oregon's Warrior and Miami's Hunter.
Whew, it's a party in the city where the heat is on.
Oh, yeah.
Bienvenidos a Miami. Ohio. Fortunately for Oregon, though, Control Warrior has a pretty good matchup against mid-range Hunter, especially since the new sets made the Hunter deck a bit weaker than it used to be. It all actually came down to a Zul Jin played by Miami, which recasts every spell you've played so far in the game with a random target, though. So ideally, it would have let them double down on all their spells for a huge turnaround, but unfortunately, luck was nowhere near their side, and a recast kill command spell randomly chose their own hero as the target, which meant Miami ended up hurting themselves more than anyone else. This allowed Oregon to scoop up the win and take the match.
Joining Oregon in the top 4 with invites to the CEC are Georgia Tech, RIT, and Minnesota. In the live semifinals, Georgia Tech will take on RIT, and Minnesota will face off against the University of Oregon.
Now, the University of Oregon is definitely the team to beat here. They demonstrated consistent, high-level play throughout the entire tournament, but USC showed that they weren't invincible in the top 16. Regardless, these teams will definitely be some excellent matches where we'll get a chance to see how the new format continues to develop following the recent release of Rise of Shadows. Be sure to watch the CEC Countdown next week as we take a closer look at each of these matchups and give you a taste of what to expect.
All right, well, let's make our way to some heroes, shall we? We've made it through the regular season and almost all the way through the playoffs. In fact, we've made it down to the final 2 teams in the Heroes of the Storm TESPA Collegiate Series. Those 2 teams have punched their tickets to the CEC where a champion will be crowned. We'll get to those 2 teams, but first, let's take a look at what happened along the way.
The quarterfinals saw 4 dominating 3-0 sweeps as Rutgers took out Worcester Poly, Robert Morris University bucked the University of North Texas. You like this? It's all very physical. UC Berkeley defeated, I don't know how to do that one, the University of Houston, and Cal Poly Pomona picked off the Colorado School of Mines. So I'm assuming they have to go back underground or something?
I think so. It's about that time, right?
I don't know how that school works.
Well, it's a surprise to see so many sweeps at this point in the tournament. These are teams that are top tier for the Collegiate Heroes world. But sweeping your way to the semifinals shows that these 4 teams are on a whole different level, man.
Now, what's even more surprising was that Rutgers went on to sweep RMU 3-0 in the semifinals. And RMU's a good team. They are no slouches. They're not scrubs. They get love from me. But they've been a constant in the scene for a long time, but Rutgers has played at such a high level. They've shown again and again that in this tournament, they are the team to beat. So, unfortunately, they did look like busters. Pomona almost got a clean sweep in the series as well, but Cal was able to pick up at least 1 game off them. They even got to pushing it to a Game 5. They're close to that with a heated Game 4.
Now, both teams came out punching in the 4th and inevitable final game of the series. Berkeley took a slight lead with 2 early kills, but Cal Poly Pomona stole the lead back by just barely winning the first objective. Now, that gave Pomona a slight lead over Berkeley, but it was a lead that would prove to be crucial. The round stayed close as Berkeley fought for their playoff lives, but they were falling behind. Pomona maintained control and wouldn't let Berkeley dictate the match. It was a death by 1,000 cuts, not the sudden and decisive victory Pomona might have wanted, but impressive nonetheless.
And it was all thanks to that one defining moment, winning the first objective by just 300 hit points. Cal Berkeley has got to be wondering what would have happened in an alternate dimension if they won that first objective. Nevertheless, Cal Poly Pomona won the series and will join Rutgers at the finals in Houston.
I mean, Alex, it is crazy how Rutgers and Pomona just steamrolled all the way through the regular season and into the finals, man.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see this matchup because these 2 are going to be the ones to watch as they go head-to-head in the tournament.
Yes, as my great-grandpappy said, it's going to be a corker. He kind of went crazy in his later years. Be sure to tune in next week as we take a look at the Cal Poly versus Rutgers matchup so you know what to expect going into the finals. Something you've definitely been expecting because I've been conspicuously alluding throughout the entire show for the past few weeks that they're going to go there. But enough about how smart I am. Let's get to part 2 of our look into Rutgers University Esports. New Jersey, take it away. With ESPN's Collegiate Esports Championship right around the corner, Rutgers will have 2 teams coming to Houston, vying for a shot at championship glory. Having both their Heroes of the Storm team and Overwatch team compete for a trophy is a massive feat.
Rutgers University is going to be taking game number 3. They're going to solidify their spot in the finals in Houston.
Both of them mentally prepared to make legitimate runs at a national title.
Rutgers overall in the past 3 years has been, I think, a more well-respected team that hasn't really, caused a lot of issues, if any at all. So I'm actually very happy with the players that we've had and have right now.
And so we're focusing on the strengths that our team has and our players have, and then going from there.
We prepare a lot before matches, like several days before. We'll scout out what the other teams play, figure out what we want to pick, how we're going to do our draft. So coming on up to the actual day of the tournament, we're pretty much just ready and we're really only focusing on warming up.
But once all the excitement and buzz of the CEC wears off, where does that leave the players? Will they continue to pursue esports once they finish at Rutgers? Or will they move on to more conventional jobs and industries? Though the most talented players could see collegiate esports as a training ground to a potential career in esports, many are now realizing that this might be the last time they'll ever get to compete at this level.
I'm looking to work, not really going to esports. It would be cool if I could, but personally I don't think I'm good enough to go into it, and I'm also getting older, so. I'm only 21, but for esports athlete, that's sort of getting old.
I'm just gonna maintain it as a hobby because it's just for fun, just playing games. It's not going to make it my focus because I want to do a little bit more than just, play games.
Either way, there are many within the Rutgers Esports Club who have found their passion through playing for their college, and they'll do whatever it takes to stay in the world of esports. They've found a place where they feel like they belong, and it's encouraged them in their pursuit to make a name and a career out of something they're incredibly passionate about.
Something before I joined the organization and got more involved was I really struggled with what I wanted to do after college. I ended up actually switching my major about 6 times until as I got involved and started helping out with events. I really realized that this is something I like to do and I'm passionate about. I've always been passionate about video games, but I never really saw a connection to a job.
It's definitely something I could do. This is my first time doing something like this, so I could definitely see, depending on how it goes, I could pursue it even further.
Now, I am all for going into esports. I want to go into either event planning or PR work for some major esports company.
These Rutgers teams have already found success in the collegiate esports scene, and the university is already starting to take notice. They're planning on finding new ways to support the esports club, and the hope is that one day, Rutgers will buy into the esports program wholeheartedly and help to build a competitive destination program for students and athletes from around the country.
So we finally got them to start building a LAN center for us recently, and that should be completed relatively soon. We're still working on trying to get an official program, varsity team statuses, scholarships, things like that, so that our teams are better supported and we have a good amount of top level players coming into the school to make our teams better.
This should be the path to being a professional collegiate, because I think it's the safest route, because you could get a degree while you're playing on a good team and you can win scholarship money and things like that and go to school for free. So there are schools that do that, but Rutgers unfortunately doesn't right now, but I do see it headed in that direction in the next few years.
Woo! Listen, I said it before and I'll say it again. They're going to take the entire thing. I don't know if it's something in the water. In fact, I do know it's something in the water. A little bit of radioactive waste and,
obviously,
agricultural waste. But at the same time, it makes people from New Jersey stronger. We're battle ready.
Really?
And we're going to take the whole thing. I'm seeing it.
Debatable, but I'm here for this. We'll see. Go
Yeah.
Maryville.
Okay, well, one of us is going to be disappointed. Great! Well, we have talked a lot over the past few weeks about registering for the Collegiate Star League Street Fighter qualifiers, and at last, the week has finally arrived where we can, dig in. The qualifier tournament was held on April 20th with a double elimination bracket. UNLV was one of the strongest teams entered into the tournament, and it would prove to be true as the matches unfolded. They just kept looking better and better. The squad did end up playing one of the most intriguing matches of the weekend as they handed Lambton their first loss in the winners bracket semifinals, winning in 5 games, 3-2. This sent Lambton down to the losers bracket where Chabot was waiting for them. Now, Chabot has already had their encounter with UNLV, losing 3-1 in the very first match of the entire tournament. Chabot still put on an impressive showing by sweeping Lambton 3-0, thus knocking them out of the tournament completely.
Okay, now in the other winners semifinals match, NJIT swept the team of students from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and Wisconsin Lutheran College. The combined team from Wisconsin needed to win their next match to make it to the CEC, but they couldn't pull it off. Sheridan was able to beat them and will be continuing through the losers bracket to the live semifinals in Houston. At the end of the weekend, UNLV and the New Jersey Institute of Technology are undefeated teams heading to the CEC, while the 2 teams who need to fight through the losers bracket are Chabot College and Sheridan College. Those 4 in total will be attending the live CEC tournament in May.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the news we have for today. Aww.
So
well,
we're
already
already?
a lot. We said a lot of things, but we have more, so stick around as we'll be heading over to the lounge right after this break. And now this is a great chance to, 1, go get a beverage, maybe use the restroom, but also to tweet at us using the hashtag CEC Countdown, because we're going to be going over some of your fan comments and maybe an enemy comment. We'll also have our top 10 plays of the week as always, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. I don't actually have an enemy, but it makes me sound mysterious, right?
It does. I'll give you that. Swag points there.
I probably have one out there.
Definitely.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an exciting week with all the teams qualifying for the CEC, but it's not over yet, all right? I mean, the week is over, I guess, because it's Friday. That's how that works. But, hey, the show's not over. We're going to look at our top 10 plays of the week coming up first. What was first? I kind of forget what was first.
Come on, Alex, we got to hear from the fans, yo.
Yes, the fans. The huddled, unwashed masses clamoring to hear more from me, Alex. Wait, do I have fans?
My God.
I have fans? And they're not my mom? Come on. Where are they?
Calm down, Alex. Calm down.
No?
Relax,
Okay.
relax. Okay, guys, to send your tweets and comments about College Esports using the hashtag CEC Countdown. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of those.
Let's go ahead and dig into some tweets.
Yep.
I did dive and I said dig, but I meant both of them. Let's get into some tweets, shall we?
Yes. For our first tweet, we have, I'ma scoop you.
Not legally. I don't consent to you scooping anyone here. But fine.
He asks, fight stick, fight pad, or controller. Which do you prefer and why?
Oh, it's an interesting question, just BK. I'm not going to acknowledge that name. So here's when I game and I'm getting competitive.
Okay.
You know I'm munching. You know I'm snacking. So I got milkshakes and big gulps and Cheeto dust dribbling down my face.
The dribbles?
I feel like a controller, it's a little bit too fragile and dainty for me. It's going to gum up those little sticks. I'm thinking all the way back to the arcade, you know? They were built for sticky fingers and not the album. I'm talking about disgusting Cheeto fingers. And I think that it's more, when I'm dribbling, it's not going to ruin my arcade stick. Also, you feel cooler carrying it in when you go to play some esports.
Oh,
play some
yeah.
competitive games. The Smash players with their little tiny, their GameCube controllers, not as cool as those Street Fighter guys who come in with that big stick.
Oof.
Slap it down and get the game.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why arcade stick.
Nice pick. Oh, me, I mean, it depends on the game, depends on the title. For Street Fighter, I would have to say I'm gonna go with you for a fight stick. You gotta get those quarter circles in, man. It's hard to do that with arrows.
I'm always like concerned. I'm really bad at Street Fighter, so I actually use a Guitar Hero controller because I feel like when I lose, I can physically start swinging it at people and defend myself. Because
I do not want to play against you.
I'm going to throw some shade that's probably not deserved. Let's go ahead and get to our next question. Culture 711, or maybe Culture 711.
Okay.
I feel like that's my culture. I'm personally as cultured as a 7-Eleven convenience store. So, in your professional opinion, who's going to come out on top? Maryville or Carlton?
Tough question.
That's an interesting question, and we are going to step out of character for a second, and or at least I am, and we're actually going to be professional and not make any jokes.
Okay.
Because listen, it could go either way. That's, in my professional opinion, Maryville, Carlton, they're both expert level teams. They both had crazy runs with sweeps all across the board. Carlton has that heritage, and they've been playing TESPA for a long time. They've been very good for a long time. Maryville, new, but they also have a crazy amount of support from their school.
Yeah, they're stacked.
I can't call it. As much as I'd love to make a joke, but I'm being told, be serious, I can't call it.
No, I think it's anybody's game, honestly. It's going to be a really good match. I'm really looking forward to see. I can't make a prediction at this rate. It's pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, and that's exciting. You know, you never know exactly who's going to win in a good game. If it's going to be a steamrolling, you're going to be like, well, whatever, I'll watch the highlights or whatever. But this is going to be a good game, so make sure you check out when they go head-to-head because it still is literally anyone's game.
Definitely. Okay, well, we have the last question here. I mean, I'm not sure if it's a question.
If it's not a question, we legally can't answer it.
Okay, it says H-Town Club asks, yo, H-Town, what's up? So, Zerglings, question mark?
Okay, so it does fit the standards of a question. It does have a question mark. There's a ... there that leads me to think that this person's really thinking about this, so we'll take it seriously. So, Zerglings.
Hit me with it.
It's an interesting question. So listen, they said not to get political, but when it comes to the interplanetary war that is Starcraft, I just don't like the Zerglings' politics. First of all, Zergling means, hey, these are children. These are kids. I don't know how the Zerg aging works, if it's like birds or whatever, they get real old real fast. I don't know if that's how birds work. But I'm saying, why don't we let these Zerglings grow up? We're never going to see these Zerglings as adults.
No.
Do they just turn into Zergs? Do they turn into Zerg doctors? Zerg lawyers?
I mean, Zerg professor? I want to see him grow.
Listen, people are excited about the Zerg rush, okay? But you know what the real rush is? Getting a Zerg education.
Oh, yeah.
And we're robbing them of that, and then also having them blow up and throw up all over the place. So it's disgusting, and I'm going to say, so Zerglings? My answer to that? No. Because Protoss, I'm assuming they're all adults. I don't even know if they have bones. They're aliens. Terran, they're all adults. They're Space Marines, whatever.
Yeah.
Zerglings? I'm just going to say a little bit too young for battle.
All right, I mean, I love my BBs.
What about you? How do you feel
yeah,
about
like my babies.
You
I
like
my
Zerg,
babies.
though.
Zerg, yeah, like, that's what I care about. I was mad we didn't have any Zergs.
Also, Zerg players are the worst, so it's fine. I'm totally fine.
This
saying
guy.
No across the
all
board.
right. No shade,
to
no shade, no
Zerg.
tea, no shade.
I'm just going to be over here constructing pylons. All right, it's almost time for the top 10 plays of the week, and we are super excited. This is brand new. This is hot off the press. Ooh, drop it. We're partnering with Maxnomic to bring you the fresh, hot action. So we're going to play a little bit of a video right now. Spoiler alert, you're probably going to need a seat for this, because they make seats. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with those plays right after this. Check it out.
We spend 1/10 of our lives
okay.
socializing with family and friends. We spend 1/3 of our lives sleeping. We spend almost half of our lives sitting down. So if sitting down is so important to us, shouldn't we make sure to sit with the most comfort? Then there is only one clear choice.
Whew, one clear choice. Listen, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
it's a very good looking
I'm
seat.
glad the chair gods heard the chat's cries to get you a new chair. They were like, give my man a seat.
I don't know. This chair and me have a special bond we've developed over the past few shows. First of all, chat, I don't appreciate you making fun of my chair because, you know what? Listen, maybe it's not about having amazing features or superior materials. Maybe it's all about where your heart is. And my heart is in this chair. And also, they didn't send me one. I asked for one. They didn't. They said they weren't going to send me one.
I feel bad,
so maybe, hey, I'm still here. Maxnomic, I'll swap this thing out. I'll throw it right in the garbage. I'll chop it up myself. Please give me a chair. Hey, you know what, though? I asked, and they did give me the top 10 plays of the week, though. So let's go ahead and get into our top 10 plays, powered by Maxnomic. Need for Seat. You ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
UT Austin Sanguine taking a leap of faith into their game against Waterloo. I meant that to be a water joke, but I didn't put the word dive in there. Whatever. Sanguine spidey senses some hesitation from his opponent and rushes in with a modest group of Marines. And lucky for him, this tiny push pays off huge and takes out the incredibly expensive Protoss Colossus, making it worth.
Yeah, number 9, Cal Berkeley takes on Cal Poly Pomona in the Heroes of the Story semifinal match. Pomona kicks off a team fight with a great start, just as Berkeley's Jaina goes down through a series of devastating crowd control effects. Berkeley tries to return the favor and manages to get a clear kill on Dahak. I can't even say it.
I mean, he gets a clear. In at number 8 is our highlighted Hearthstone match between Oregon and Miami, Ohio. Miami cleaned it up by equipping Solthrays and going to town with their hero. This means they can keep using their weapon over and over every time it overkills a minion, which let them use it a total of 3 times this time. With this flurry of attack, Miami easily wins the game in no time, taking game number 3 in the process. And then we get to see the dejected players walking away. It's a very sad, if you don't like sad players, look away now. Oh, there they go. Off this, I don't know, go cry somewhere. It's fine, you're good, buddy.
It's fine. Number 7 comes from the Heroes of the Storm quarterfinal match between Robert Morris and North Texas. RMU was pulling up on UNT, and they managed to get a kill, but immediately have to back off as North Texas uses 2 well-timed ultimates to try and trap their whole team. Now, you can see RMU was in huge trouble there, but it was until Bo Blaze, RMU's Blaze player, threw down a clutch bunker drop to save his team from the attack. There, they turned the fight in their favor.
Yeah, and at number 6, we have our Jewel of the North, RIT, and the other team from the North, Northeastern, in a nail-biter of a match. We're in Game 5, as Northeastern uses a Conjecture's Calling to hopefully save themselves from RIT's incoming attack. Next turn, the spell brings out a random minion, so they could have gotten anything. Something with Taunt would have saved them, but luck was not on their side. And next turn, RIT was able to easily take on the last 6 hit points, Northeastern's on his hero, and qualify for the finals.
Yep, here's number 5. Here's the Storm again with Rutgers against Worcester in another quarterfinals match. Rutgers unleashed the boss in one of Worcester's lanes, meaning Worcester had to stand their ground against a strong defense. But it looked like it's going to be over for them. They put up a good fight, but the May player, Natsume, dished out just too much damage, and Rutgers took out all 5 members of the Worcester team. A classic team wipe. With this huge win, plus the boss on their side, Rutgers waltzed straight to Worcester's core, taking game 1 and eventually the match. I mean, look at them. They just pull up in there, just taking it down.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but it blew up exactly that fast.
Oof.
Wow. Coming in at number 4 is a killer play from University of Chicago Starcraft player Teletubby, personal favorite name-wise. Here we see him in full attack mode, going into Seraph space. Now try and keep up here. It's a lot of stuff happening. He gets interference matrices off on all of Seraph's tanks, letting him roll in and take everything out. Off camera, there's even a Banshee taking out workers in the main. It's a full frontal attack. To add insult to injury, he manages to get the command center before it floats away and ends up winning the match. That poor command center. Its space heart will go on.
For number 3, we return to the Robert Morris UNT Heroes of the Storm match. Robert Morris is being pushed back towards their base, and it looks like North Texas has unstoppable momentum. But Zal pushes a bit too hard, overstretching and almost goes down. The fight looked like it was about to cool off, but RMU's Deagle Dan landed a fat 4-man ult to set up for Malfurion's entangling roots. This 1-2 punch meant a full team wipe and a massive lead for RMU.
Fact! Georgia Tech takes the second spot with their Game 5 win over USC. As you can see here, USC looked like they would survive another turn, but Tech, through fast, responded with a savage roar to add 2 attack to all their minions. Their attack totaling a thick 22 damage to the face was just enough to take out USC's hero and clean up the match. Then the celebration begins. Let's see that celebration. Up, explosion, and nope, we don't get to see it. Never mind.
And we have number 1 with flawless control here from UC San Diego's Flume as he defends a big attack from Toronto's Tejad. Normally, if Tehran gets to this part of the map, it's really difficult to stop because they can just hold the choke. But a well-placed shield from Flume's only sentry winds up soaking a ton of damage. He follows it up with a Stalker Blink and Warp in from behind to suddenly envelop Teja's entire army and take out the entire Terran first. This sent San Diego off with a 1-0 lead to open up the series, man.
Oh, and open it up we did. And you know what? We also opened up a little bit of chaos in the studio. Here's what just happened, ladies and gentlemen. The clips were so hot this week that we tried to export a timeline of all the clips, and it blew up our computer. So we were live building that, and there may have been 1 or 2 clips that were a little out of place. There may have been some technical difficulties here and there. But we will be remedying that and posting somewhere, maybe on Twitter, we never really know, some of these corrections with what actually happened. But hey, thanks. This is what happens when you have clips like that. Systems literally melt down. We had 10 power plants working on this. And listen, I can't believe there's only 1 week left here in the studio before May 10th, and our stuff's already exploding because of the hype for the CEC. Season went by so fast.
I can't believe it either, Alex. I have had such a blast being here, watching these players and the teams progress throughout the tournament. We visited so many colleges, and we got a really good look at what esports is really about.
Yes, we do have 1 more week left. So the question is, what will we do? I mean, I kind of know, but nobody really knows. I guess you have to find out yourself. Tune in next week right here at a time. We're going to have a special guest. I can confirm that. We're going to have another college feature. We will have it all. Also, we'll have 10,000 computers all pumping out the correct sequence of top 10s. I've been Alex, and joining me as always has been Black Crystal. I hope you all have a fantastic night. We'll see you next week. Let's go ahead and rebuild Rome. Where are those computers at? I want to take that server rack. Let's do it.
Find the back door. Medevac versus Boss. Let's go. Get in position. Medevac is down. It's a base race. Here we go. Medevac takes off. They are on the court. This is in favor. Orange U's about to end this. Sanctification has to go down. Right? There it is. They've ripped through it. They've done it. Some of these fights is things like the coalescence, packaging that together with a heal, but already he can shut that down.
Sandwich of ultimates, you have the EMP and more paint coming from Northeastern that should completely wipe out UTD again.
Well done. A really clunky fight as well. All of the zealots kind of going in at once. Very few trickling in to just die into a pit of Archons that are all attacking, and Pancake's not able to get his Archons to attack without taking a lot of damage first.